and I had rushed in and got Daryl Duick, who was building my new house. We went out and we were putting out the fire, and this guy from West Fraser came out and was helping us. We got it under control, and he said that he would send a crew out tomorrow to finish mopping it up. Well, we went back to the house site where Daryl was staying in a small trailer, and we had some dinner, and he said, "Well, you want some coffee?" And I said, "No, I'll just have a glass of water." So I got a glass of water, and I was sitting there, and he was drinking the coffee, and all of a sudden he just started like swaying back and forth, and he says, "I got to go to bed," and he got up and he staggered off to the trailer. And I thought, well, that's weird. He hasn't been drinking or anything. He seemed fine before that. And just previous to that, my dog had started barking, and it sounded like somebody was walking through the bush. So I went and investigated, but I didn't take a flashlight with me. And I never seen anything. It was too dark to see anything. But I got back in my truck, and I have to drive 2 kilometers to go around to my cabin, which is on the other side of the property. And I stopped and unlocked my gate and locked the gate behind me when I went in. And I got into the cabin, and I went to close my greenhouse up. And I had a flashlight at that time, and I closed my greenhouse up, and I was going back into the cabin, and my dog come out from behind my pickup, and he was chewing on something. And I thought, that's strange. Wonder what he found. And I went in, and I have a propane light, which is connected to a 100-pound propane tank that stands in my house. And as I lit the lamp, when I turned around, my dog fell over. And I couldn't believe my eyes. I thought maybe he had a heart attack or something. I went and shook him, and I tried to bring him awake, and he wouldn't move, and he was breathing fine. And I thought, oh my God, what's going on? So I went out in my truck, and I thought that he'd been poisoned or something. And I went out and got my guns out of my truck and brought them in the house and loaded them. And I barricaded my porch to a certain extent, and I put 2 chairs in front of the door in case somebody come in. And I was sitting there on the couch, and I had the flashlight shoved to the back of the couch, and I was sitting there having a cigarette. And you got to come through a porch, so there's dual doors. And on my outside doors, which is my meat room, I had black plastic on a screen door. And I had taken and split the plastic so that I could see outside. And it was fairly light outside, but it was pitch black in the cabin, other than the flashlight. And I was sitting there having a cigarette, and I hear this whap, and it sounded like a gunshot from a distance. I later learned that it was my camper door being thrown open. My nephew was out there helping me build my house, and I had sent him home because of what was happening, and he had been staying in the camper. Well, the next thing I see this light green light going around my door, and I thought, oh, am I seeing things? Like, what is that? And then I could see it in the slit in the door, in the plastic. And this went on for a couple minutes, and then I hear zzz, and I could hear the screen in my door getting cut. And then all was quiet, and my dog, he was snoring. He was still unconscious and snoring. And next thing you know, I see this hand come through this hole, and I got a latch on the inside, like a hook latch, and I could hear this hand going up and down the wall, and then he found the latch and unlatched the door, and the hand went back out. And now I'm really scared, because if it was somebody I knew, they would have knocked on my door. So I grabbed my 12-gauge shotgun, and I had it to my shoulder, pointed it at the door. Well, all of a sudden, the door opened up, and this guy come in, and he was all in black, and he had this little green light, looked like on the side of his head, but he was all in black. And he stepped in the door, and when he come in low, and when he raised his hand, there was a gun in it, and I told him, hold it. And it kept coming up, so I blew him with the shotgun, right up, and I was aiming for the gun in his hand, because he wasn't the threat, the gun in the hand was. So I aimed for his arm, and all I seen in the muzzle flash was his feet going backwards out the door.